Welcome back to the second episode of my podcast with my squeaky chair, my low quality microphone. But you know what? The blessings I received after that first video, I'm still beaming about right now. Thank you so much. Thank you. Today I want to delve a little bit more into astrology and go through what the Zodiac means to me. Again, can't stress this enough. Everything that I speak on this podcast is me. It ain't you. So if you get upset with anything I say, well, don't take it personal. You know, there's a lovely quote that my friend often says to me. A very good friend of mine, one I would consider to be a brother. And he speaks and he says, take what is useful, discard what is not, and add what is uniquely your own. Doesn't claim ownership of that quote. I believe it may have originated from Bruce Lee's teachings, but it may be a lot older than that. Probably is, because it's a very profound quote. Since I can't quote the origin of that quote, I can only say, thank you, brother. You know who you are. So I want to go through the Zodiac today. And I am going to use a book that many people will be familiar with. They call it the Holy Bible. And I've made my first mistake, because this here is not a book. This is a library of sacred texts. And just like any library, it's only as good as the books that are in it. Now, unfortunately, when we get to today, we find a very edited version of this book on the bookshelves. Its texts have been edited. It's had books taken out of it. As far as I'm aware, the closest to the original is the Ethiopian version of this book. And if anyone knows how they can get their hands on a genuine translated version of that text, please let me know. I'd very much like to read it. Now, imagine if you found out the owner of a library had been editing the books written by different authors from centuries ago. Wouldn't be very good, would it? And they tell you it's an edited version because it's the King James version, not the original version. So we have to take things with a pinch of salt, and it is of my belief, I do not represent any organization. I do not represent any religion. I take what is useful, I discard what is not, and I add what is uniquely my own. And then I package that up and send it out to the people so that they can then do the same. So I'm going to use this Bible to leapfrog us into the Zodiac. I've also been playing around with OBS, not an expert, not yet anyway, and I don't have a production crew, I don't have anybody making graphics for me, so the graphics found are just typical graphics that you can find on any kind of Google search. So let's try and go into my scene. Boom! And there we have it. Okay, let me just queue up my next little scene. So, to my, oops, this way, I've got a mirror image this is going to take some get used to. We have the Zodiac wheel. I quite like this one because it's got the thick cross telling us where the 4 main Sabbats are. There are 8 Sabbats. Pagan Sabbats, I should call them. Now, to my understanding, pagan means sort of North European pre-church. So there are many different variations of what pagan could be. And it's a blanket term almost. So when I say pagan Sabbats, I'm meaning that these are the holy dates, the Sabbaths before the term holy dates was termed. So what we have with this cross is at the very top between Aries and Pisces, we have the spring equinox, the first day of spring, typically the 21st of March. Now, if I was to make a calendar, I would start the year on this day. I also give some legibility to the fact that it may be actually on April the 1st, April Fool's Day, maybe some kind of nod to this. Potentially, yeah, it's around that time. Now with this wheel, as I have it here, we're going anti-clockwise. So Aries, which is the first, is what we would say 11 o'clock. Well, no, 12 o'clock. Between 12 and 11, let's say. And then it goes Taurus, Gemini, and then we get our next line in between Gemini and Cancer. And that would be the summer solstice. Nearly slipped up there. And then we go Cancer, Leo, Virgo. That's the summer season. The bottom, the line going towards the bottom, the fall. That takes us into autumn. Or if you're in America, you may even call it the fall. So this would be the autumn equinox. Now the reason we call it the equinox, equa being equal and nox being night. So it means that there's equal hours in the day and the night. And then from this point, we're now in autumn and we have Libra, Scorpio and Sagittarius. And then that brings us into winter. So we have the winter solstice. And then we've got Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. Now, what I've just demonstrated is the 12 months, I guess, of the solar cycle, the sol cycle, the sun cycle. Many words to describe the great sun, the yay in the heavens. So that's essentially the zodiac and how it works. Now, again, going back to the calendar, a lot of people, when I do my talks, ask, should there be 13 months? And quite frankly, I believe there should be, because that would tie us in with the moon. And I would say a month comes from the terminology moonth. Now, and then people go, but there's only 12 zodiacs, there's not 13. Even though they often try to add one, I like to just keep it simple and say there are 12 zodiacs. I don't necessarily directly agree with the 13th zodiac. That would be Judas, really. So, sorry, I have a cup of tea. Got a cup of tea because I'm English, and I've got a cup of tea because I might need a drink, and it also gives me something to hide behind. Sorry if you could hear that. It's probably a horrible thing to hear. But I don't have any real editing software. This is just, like I said, on OBS. So it's going live as it is. I am a one-man band currently. So what the moon cycle is the moon, how we fit the moon cycle into the sun cycle. And the moon goes through all the zodiacs 13 times in the sun cycle. It's quite a hard one. I mean, a year is quite a hard one to figure out because it doesn't quite work. You know, we have this, nowadays we have this quarter day where we have the leap year to make it fit, to make it make sense. But what we can see is that there's actually this grand cycle, and this is where you'll find the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius and the age of Aries, which would have been 4,000, 2,000 years ago. These cycles take about 2,160 years, roughly, um, and each sign represents about 2,000 years. Sorry, it takes roughly 25,000 years, with each sign representing a segment of that. So it's 2,160-ish years. It's not exactly 2,160, but it's there, give or take. So as we've reached the years 2000, and we can probably argue the calendar isn't exactly 2,000 years, um, that we're transitioning into the new age, and we can see that through astronomy. But this is astrology. There is a difference. We're talking about magic versus science. Are the two the same? Are they the yin and yang of each other? Possibly. We need both. That's for sure. So I believe that there should be 13 moons, and the reason I believe that is because we would be in tune to the moon cycle. If we did that, we'd know that on the first, I mean, I would start it at a new moon where there's no visible moon in the sky. That would be the first day of a new moon, and so then we would know that, oh, it's the 14th of this month today, so we know it's a full moon. And then everything after the 14th would be a waning moon, meaning the moon is getting smaller. And the first 14 days of any month would be a waxing phase. Obviously, this wouldn't exactly work that way, but nothing works exact. One of the things of life, perfection, is an illusion. It does not exist. It's completely up for debate and the individual person. Okay, so how am I going to use this to take us through the Zodiac? Well, I'm going to do it via the Lord's Prayer. So I'll just get to the relevant book within this library. And I am on the book of St. Matthew. I am in chapter 6. And it starts from verse 9. Okay, it starts, Our Father, which art in heaven. So this is Aries. This is the head, the cerebrum, the head being the heaven, where we heave up to, where the blood is heaving up to. And as within, so without, as above, so below. I believe everything is a projection of oneself. That's how this realm works. So we've got Aries being the cerebrum, the Father which art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Hallowed is to be revered. Now we are in the bull. We are in the Taurus, the lower brain, the cerebellum. Bell for bull. It then continues with, Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. We are now in Gemini. Gemini rules the arms and the lungs. It's the expressive ones, usually very active with their hands, and as they talk, they'll point. And a main thing to know, I should have said this earlier, you are not your sun sign. In fact, there are at least 7 planets going from the sun out to Saturn. And then we could look at the outer planets, which are never available to your eye, and I think that makes them different in some ways, that they are external to us. And we'll get to them in later videos. I'm definitely going to get through these wandering stars, these planets, these mythological gods, the pantheon in the heavens above. So, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. These are the twins of Gemini, your arms or your lungs. Well, both, because they are how we express. We bring our speech from the air that we breathe as we fill the lungs. Just try to talk without any air in your lungs. You'll see it's not really possible. And so we've got thy will and thy kingdom. Well, you create your kingdom through your will, and then you would leave your kingdom in your will. They are the two twins. Then we've got Cancer. Just have a look at Cancer. Obviously, it's on its side in this wheel, but it's a 6 and a 9. So what do we have for that? That in earth as it is in heaven. And is that not what I was just referring to before as well? That what's in earth, what's in life, is also in the heavens. The two are the same, as above, so below. And this is Cancer. Cancer ruled by the moon, the only sign ruled by the moon. And as we get to Leo, that's the only sign ruled by the sun. And as you can see, before we mentioned that between, I've got to use, how do I do this? Yeah, let's do it that way. Uh, I'll get used to this, I promise. It's been a while since I've done any kind of video. So this line here that I'm pointing to, this is the line of the solstice. So we know that between Gemini and Cancer is when we tick over into the summer. So therefore Leo is the most of the summer season. The sun rules Leo. So it says, give us this day. Well, what gives us the day? It's the sun. There's your Leo. Then we get to Virgo. Our daily bread. Virgo is the digestive system. Virgo in the heavens is often depicted as a maiden holding wheat or holding bread. She's the virgin. So now we're at Libra. Now what happens at the fall, the autumn equinox, is that the first half of the year must be balanced in order to head into the second part of the year. And we'll get to that a little bit later. So Libra is the scales, it balances the books, it's the liver and the kidneys in the organ of the body, because there are 12 systems to the body. There are 12 salts that the body requires, 6 organic, 6 inorganic, and we will definitely get to that in another video. I don't want this to run on too long. Could talk about this for honestly for hours and hours and hours, and we will, but I'll space it out. I'm not going to go through it all in one go. So we're talking about balance. So what's the line for Libra? Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Forgive us the debts of the phase that we've gone through so that we can forgive the debtors. Forgive us the depths of the summers. You know, we are given so much through the spring and summer season, and now we must repay our debtors in the winter and autumn phases. So now we're at Scorpio, which is the bottom of the lumbar, ruled by Mars, which is the archetype of male. So it can also be the phallus as well. That's the tail of Scorpio. I tried to say that in the most polite way possible. And lead us not into temptation. Temptation. So then we get to Sagittarius, the hero who shoots down the night, who shoots down the dark. It takes us to the winter solstice. Is the hero, the one who warns us it's going to get rough now. We're coming to the 21st of December in the sun. I mean, it's easy to go through this as the sun cycle because it's so visible. We're so in tune to the sun cycle, because the entire nature around us just feeds off the energy of that sun. And, you know, we are very much connected to the natural world around us. Just try and breathe without trees. So it's, but deliver us from evil. We are going to the winter phase. Without the technology and the blessings that we have today, the winter would be considered an evil, right? Not very little can grow. The frost comes, you have to protect yourself from it. Deliver us from evil, Sagittarius. For thine is the kingdom. Now we're at Capricorn. So Capricorn is often depicted as a mountain goat, and you would build your kingdom upon the mountain, the high ground. You wouldn't want it to get flooded. You wouldn't want to be easily attackable, and you'd want to see your lands that surround the kingdom. It's also the domain of the king, which would be the domain of your bodily kingdom would be the head. It's where we have the crown chakra. That's where the king is, and that sits at the top. So as we're in winter, we now have to climb back up that hill, which we'll get to on my next scene. So then we go and the power. Aquarius. Aqua, Aries, water and air. Aquarius is the water bearer. Water is the power, absolutely. And as we're in the age of Aquarius, I think our development and understanding into water and what that can provide in regards to everything, in regards to memory, the ancient Hebrew word for water was mem, and that's where we get the word memory from. Water is an incredible thing. Unfortunately, it has been heavily poisoned. I don't just mean drinking water. We can look at how the Gulf Stream was poisoned quite a few years ago. Now we have the situation in Ohio with the East Palestine and how poisoned the water is there. You know, whether it's specific organizations or whether it's just the will of the things to come, the water is being attacked, and we must protect it, we must study it, we must learn from it, and we must bring that water to the people. Water in this case being the knowledge, the truths, and provide to our community, to the local people, to the national people, to the global people, thanks to the internet, which is in a way a manifestation of Aquarius. You know, my laptop here is not plugged into my router. It is a wireless transmission of information. If we look at water as information, it's water through the air. And then we finish it off with and the glory forever. Amen. So now we're at Pisces. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, or Zeus, or Thor, the one born to be king. Here in England, we have King Arthur, we have the Arthurian myths, and we could say that Jupiter is an expression of King Arthur. Now, Pisces shows the conflict of this ruler. We have Jupiter, King Arthur, Zeus, Thor. When in Sagittarius, they are the hero. Notice how Sagittarius is the arrow in the skies, the weapon. All of these people have their significant weapon. Zeus has his lightning bolt. King Arthur has his sword. Thor has the hammer, you know, and then all of these also show signs of conflict, and this is Pisces, the two fish that constantly swim against each other. Now, the beauty of Pisces is if we can, for a moment, not attach ourselves to these fish, we can sit back and see that it's within that struggle that we can see into the vortex. If somebody with a lot of energy in Pisces is able to disassociate themselves from the conflict and the stresses that are around them, they are able to see a really clear picture, really beautiful picture. However, when they allow themselves to be attached to these stresses, then the picture just looks a mess. Just going to take a moment to have a drink. See, we're already at 25 minutes. I wanted to keep these videos within 25 minutes. I guess this one's going slightly long. But there's a lot to it. There's a lot to the zodiac. So let's move on. Here, hey, I'm up here now. Yeah, guys. Oh, I'm silly sometimes. So we've got the sine wave. This is it. Um, what I'd like to get across, the message I would really like to get across is I'm not talking about stars. I'm talking about nature. I'm talking about life. I'm talking about the breath. I'm talking about the hour, the day, the week, the month, the year, the lifespan. This is manifested. Macro is equal to the micro. It exists throughout nature. Okay, there's a light side and there's a dark side. There's an upside and there's a downside. And it goes through the sine wave. This sine wave is everything. It's the heartbeat. It's the breath. It's the thought pattern. With the breath, we breathe through our head, through the Aries, and it goes, lower brain, lungs, arms. Cancer rules the breast. It's the moon. It's the mother. Leo is the heart of the lion. Virgo is the digestive system. Toxins are then balanced by the livers and the kidneys. We then have the sexual organs, really, particularly the male, but also the tail at the bottom of the lumbar, which is Scorpio. Sagittarius is the hips and the thighs. Capricorn is the kneecaps. Good luck getting up the hill if you haven't got your kneecaps. Aquarius is the shins as we walk through the water to bring it to our people. And then Pisces being the feet or the fish. So I'm now just going to put this library edited by the King James Version, that organization, and sort of just try to explain that everything in life follows this sine wave. If only trigonometry was explained to me in this way in school, it might have clicked a little better than the Sokotoa. Because sine, cos, and is it theta, or I forget what or tan? I think it's tan. Yeah. Those waves are different expressions of what we're looking at here, which can be broken down into 12. It's unmistakable, really, the 12 zodiac. Every single clock I've ever seen from any culture is broken down into 12. We can break our daily lives into this. Aries would be 6 a.m. till 8 a.m. on a typical equinox type day when the sun rises at 6. You've got to be headstrong, got to get out of bed. You need to kick up the backside, to start your day. Then from 8 to 10 is the bullish time. You're in traffic, you're getting to where you need to go. Everyone's, beeping and moving slowly. And then we've got the 10 till 12, which takes us to, what we'd say is the spring equinox. This is a very sociable time. It's where you want to talk with people just before dinner, find out what's going on, work out the business. 12 till 2, you want to nurture yourself, you want to connect with the mother, trust your gut, you have dinner at this time. Make sure you look after yourself around that time of the day. And then we've got the 2 till 4, right, we need that lion, we need to, get the work done, do the pictures, be proactive, be confident. From 4 till 6, we're starting to wind down the working day there. So we want to digest the information, digest the work. From 6 till 8, as we start to go into the night phase, we want to balance our books of the day. Balance the conversations, pick them apart, ponder. Then we're at 6 till 8. We're starting to You know, get home, work out. You know, you're best off being active around this time. Embrace Scorpio, knowing that it's ruled by Mars. Use that martial energy that we all have. I guess you could make the argument that Mars would be the toxic masculinity, whilst I don't quite like the word toxic. Um, you know, you want to use that. Everybody's got a Mars. Some are more dampened than others. And again, we will get to that and what that means. But if you've got like your Mars in Scorpio, for example, you want to make sure that this time of day you're very active. And then Sagittarius from 8 till 10, this is where we want to, you know, make sure our family's protected. The children are in bed. We're starting to wind down ourselves. The night is coming, you know, deliver us from evil, protect us during our night. And then we have the night phases, the Capricorn, which is 10 till 12. As we climb up that hill, that hill could be as we climb to our dream state, with the protection. And then we've got Aquarius, which is the messages that are delivered to us through that dream state. Now we're at 2 till 4. And then Pisces, those fishes, bringing us back up to the surface from 4 till 6. Hopefully allowing us to have not attached ourselves too much to the fishes of the dream state, in order that we can see the messages that were delivered to us. So, yeah, the zodiac is everything. It's life itself. It's the up and the down, and that's one of the things in my previous video I was trying to get across. That like you have to go up to go down, and you've got to go down to get back up. That's just the cycle of life, also known as the zodiac in this case. So, I think I'll leave the video here. I will, moving forward. I have a strange feeling these videos are going to get longer and longer. But if you do have any questions, leave them in the comments, so that I can get to them and type them out and address them on my next video. I'm hoping to do these videos weekly. However, they're going to get out when they get out. I'm a one-man band. I'm not going to put that much pressure on myself. I want this to be very as organic as possible. So, I've written another poem for you. This one I'm quite excited about. If you are of any religious doctrine, try not to get offended. Just understand. It's my point of view. This, you know, it's my channel. Don't take it personal. But there may be little snippets that you can pick out here and there. Take what is useful, discard what is not, and add what is uniquely your own. Any comments that are blessings, please do send them, because they do make it all worth it. The comments I received off my last video were absolutely beautiful. God bless every single person who sent in a blessing towards me. It really did make my day. So, yeah, thank you for watching, guys. God bless you. I hope you enjoyed the poem at the end. Yeah, bye.
I remember a song that asked if God was one of us. I think I see him every day when I'm on the bus. The one who gives without a single fuss. The one we glance to, then look on fast. The one we step over as we walk on past. Clinging to the change that we hope will last. I think he'd give so much that there's nothing left. I think we'd give nothing too, due to how he's dressed. I think we'd rather not see how we'd be oppressed. I think his shoes wouldn't suit his aching feet. I think he'd stand so he doesn't even take a seat, watching them passing by on a busy street. But then I think of the expression of the other. Let's speculate and say it is his brother. Nothing in common except the birth of a mother. He'd be driving in that car and dressed really smart, Society would love him because he likes to play the part of the celebrated one, the icon or the star. He'd be the one they wish that they could be, seated at the top of the company. He'd be the one who won in his story. He'd have the followers far and wide as he teaches them to pick a side without questioning the times he lied. If God was mankind, he'd be kind to man, while his brother would have every single fine. So if I'm asked, am I a God-fearing man? I smile and say no, I'm a God-loving man. I couldn't fear what made who I truly am, but I feel love when I say I am that I am. Do you remember the song, If God Was One of Us? In truth, I see him in every single one of us.